No! Octane! Oh well, it's just the Generations version. Whee! So the Combiners have had their war, the Titans have returned, and what's left but for the Primes to show us what power they have. Yes, this is a Power of the Primes review, and don't mind the hair, I have a thing later. Anyway, today we are going to be doing Power of the Primes Deluxe Class Jazz. Now it's kind of a weird thing with me, I have this affinity with Jazz. He's not really one of my favorite characters, but he's one of the characters I end up with a lot of. Like last TFCon I came back with I think like 3 or 4, just because he was there and I was like, hey, it's a Jazz, sweet. So Power of the Primes Wave 2, or Wave 3 I think, has just hit my Walmart, and the only one that I saw there that was new was Rocktimus Unicronus. I have him on the shelf with my Decepticons, he is lovely, we'll get to him in a moment, or probably next review, depending. But also on the shelves there, they had Jazz. Now I've picked up the Legends, which are Beachcomber, Windcharger, Slash. I have those 3. And from all appearances, this line is actually really fun. I've had more fun with Jazz and the Legends and the leader, Rocktimus Unicronus, than I have had with a mainline transforming toy in a long time. All that to say, real only figure that I was really waiting for in Wave 1 was Jazz. And now that I have him in hand, I can honestly say, aside from a few QC issues and a few other issues that seem to be more along than just my copy of the toy, he is a really solid figure and a very, very cool standalone figure. Coming on to Jazz himself, he is just basically the same Jazz that we've seen 100 times before. I mean, here he is next to his last release, which was, I believe, Hunt for the Decepticons or Re-Reveal the Shield, I can't tell. But this is the last version of Jazz that we got. And you can see it's basically just business as before. You got the hood chest, the rear car pieces down in his leg, and the back half of a car on his back. But I feel like Jazz is so singularly iconic that you can't really do much with the design. Now there was a big hoo-ha over when this figure was released because it had a tattoo of a slogan from Trump. Sure. It's supposed to be right under the Autobot logo, but no matter how close I get, it just looks like a jumble of random Cybertronian to me, and it's all moving all over the place, so the camera's having a hard time focusing on it. But it's supposed to be like MCGA, which is Make Cybertron Great Again. I don't get it. But I love the white. Now, some of this white is actually painted over white plastic, and if you know anything about Transformers or toys in general, usually painting over clear plastic or white plastic or whatever, there is usually some discrepancy between the plastic that's dyed that color. That is to say, if it's a white plastic versus a painted white plastic, usually the paint doesn't match. But this guy matches really well. The backpack right here is probably the worst offender. This is a little bit more of like a yellowish, like a cream color, than the white plastic of the hood. I mean, it's hard to replicate the same color if it's on different applications. I love the crispness of his legs here, the silver on his feet. The robot mode looks really cool. I really do dig this guy. So he's supposed to be a combiner, which I thought we left in Combiner Wars. But if you want him just to have as a Jazz like me, he can happily just leave the combining gimmick alone and he won't bother anybody. So now that we've seen how this guy looks, how does he pose? Well, his head is on a tiny, tiny ball joint in there. It kind of looks like they did an animated Jazz sort of face sculpt for him. And if I can figure out how to work Sony Vegas, I'll put a picture here for it. But I love the hood chest here with the Autobot logo. Very, very referential to his G1 self. The shoulders will go all the way around. They are just on a mushroom peg, I believe. And they are just ball jointed elbows. His fists rotate. They have a mushroom peg there. Does have a waist joint, but you have to kind of pull the backpack out of the way to make use of it. And pulling the backpack out of place unclips the whole top torso section. So I'd recommend not doing that. His hips here are on a nice big ball joint. They only get about that much range out front. that much range to the back, so you're not getting a whole lot of back movement, but again, being blocked by the back panel here. And his knees, you do get a decent bend in the knee. No forward movement, but that's totally fine. And his feet can point up, but that's mainly for the transformation. And he also has a thigh swivel, which I can't remember if I pointed out or not. He has a thigh swivel. Now, being a deluxe, he does only come with this silver gun. So getting some of the complaints that I have with this figure out of the way, the problem with Jazz is the way that he transforms. And this is across the board. Every Jazz, aside from the movie Jazz, who transformed similarly but also kind of differently, has had a problem with the chest tabbing into place on the torso. You had it on the reveal of the shield, you had it on the alternators one. I did just look at the alternators one because he's down there. They didn't really have it on the masterpiece one. Well, the masterpiece I like that I have. They all transform with the hood of the car becoming the chest. If you're messing around with the shoulders, it's usually not a problem, and if you're holding him the way you would hold a toy, it's fine. It's when you hold his legs and start moving his arms around that it flops around. Now that is nothing compared to his predecessor, which just had nothing clipping the chest in place. Shall we do some size comparisons while in robot mode? I think we shall. So starting things off, here we have Power of the Primes Jazz, and here we have the 07 movie Target exclusive repaint of the Jazz figure. BotCon Mirage, which is just basically the Classics Mirage mold. Moss Toys Gold, who will be getting a review at some point because I love this little dude. Alternators Jazz, and MP10B. Yeah, this guy's awesome. So, transformation then. Yes, yes, yes. That is what a transformation should be. It takes like 5 seconds and gets you to the car mode fast. Now, I haven't read anything confirming this, and I don't even know if it's right, but consider this the intuition of a seasoned toy collector. That this really feels like an old Combiner Wars mold. With the way the legs work, a lot of the Combiner Wars guys would suck their legs into their shins. And this is exactly what Jazz does. But this guy has some of the coolest paint I have seen on a figure. So the hood is completely painted white plastic, clear plastic, excuse me. The back end does seem a little plain, but that goes into the hand-foot combiner thing that I threw away. Actually, I think I can see it, but I'm not gonna. That thing's annoying and stupid and I hate it. Now I'm sure repro labels or repro labels or toy hacks, whatever they're called now, will have a set out to make this guy look more like his Generation 1 toy counterpart. They have a set out now that references something I don't quite understand. There's a whole lot of G1 and G2 that I'm not up on. So he looks really cool in this mode, and I absolutely dig the nice big black racing tires. I do kind of wish these were picked out in silver, but with the amount of paint that had to go on the top of this car, I can understand it not being in the budget. Let's get on to some size comparisons in vehicle mode. So first up for size comparisons, here we have Jazz. Here we have Classics BotCon Mirage, Movie 07 Target exclusive Jazz, Reveal the Shield Jazz, and Alternators Jazz. It's not as complicated as some of the older Jazzes, but that's fine. This is what Transformers toys are now, and if you can't accept that, we need to move on. So that's pretty much all I can say for Jazz. While I really do dig this toy, he is sort of a product of his time. He is thin, he's light, and you can store his gun on this port, or this port. Each one of them looking absolutely ridiculous. So that is all I can say for now. This has been Rocktimus Prime. So hopefully it won't take me 2 months to get this video out, but I am learning a new system, so bear with me guys, and by the time you see this video, I will have already put it up, so... Thank you guys so much for watching this. If you liked it, give us a thumbs up down below, and leave a comment saying which is your favorite interpretation of Jazz, whether it's from the video game, or the movies, or Generation 1. I'd really appreciate it if you guys would let me know what you guys think of Jazz, and I think it's just be fun to have us talk about which is our favorite. So anyway, this has been Rocktimus Prime with Power of the Primes Jazz. I almost said Rocktimus Prime there for a second. That's a lot of primes. Saying, hope you guys have a good day, good night, whenever you're watching this. Take care, guys.